We will call the quarterly meeting of the Richland County Parks Committee to order at 5:02 PM on August 28th. Was there proof of notification?
Yes, Madam Chair, it's properly noticed.
Thank you very much. Can we have approval of the 10-point agenda?
Motion to approve the 10-point agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire. Can anyone, because he's a board, is he on the committee?
Hey,
McGuire.
unless he got to do a committee assignment, I don't know if he's on the committee.
Can some people who are not on the committee?
No, they have to be part of the committee to make that motion.
Sorry there, Mr. McGuire, or Supervisor McGuire.
He's my friend. I'll make it then.
Thank you. Supervisor Hendrick.
Never say you're sorry to a man. Just,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Has everyone had an opportunity to read the minutes from the June 12th meeting?
yes, I guess so.
If so, I will entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve minutes.
I don't know that you can do that.
Are you on the Parks Committee,
No, he's not.
County?
I think I am, I don't know.
Let me verify.
I can look quick.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
But you guys keep
Well,
going.
He's here.
Till then I can motion it.
Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion has been made by Supervisor Hendricks, seconded by Mr. Collins to approve the minutes from the June 12th meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any public comment?
I have public comment, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
For those of you who haven't met Mr. Thielman here, this is Brian Thielman. He is the guy responsible for how the parks look and being well kept on the mowing. So I would like to issue some recognition for him with all this hard work.
Thank you. I have been at several of the parks in the last couple of months, and for the most part, these look really, really good. I appreciate that most of the middle portions of the recreation trail don't have weeds that are waist high. So, thank you very much.
As long as the weather cooperates.
Thank you very much for your dedicated work there.
Yes,
And-
thank you,
and
Mr. Thielman.
Rockbridge has looked pretty good too, although I know there were some issues. Some people thought that the areas that have been allowed to get a little bit longer prairie-like was not, but I believe that it's more, keeps the park more in the nature.
A lot of that are because of flooding.
Yeah,
It's hard to get them over in there.
hard to mow when you stop, but thank you very much. On to item number 6, reports.
Okay, Madam Chair, since the last meeting, we did finally make it back down to the bike trail that is close to Equity right there. We were able to get rid of that loose gravel. We put new streets down, so that's a big improvement there. All the parks have been properly maintained up to this point, minus the having wait on some areas due to the high water and heavy rains that we've had. We did run into some challenges with some potential squatters up in Viola, which we have the sheriff's department handling that. I personally spoke to one of the individuals who lost his home in Viola due to fire, so he's just kind of trying to get to an area where he can get something set. He's supposed to be out by the end of the month. The meeting's happened. Otherwise, we haven't had any other squatting issues that I'm aware of, nor have we had any reportable issues coming out of Rockbridge Park as well. Anybody violating things there. At this point, we're still waiting to finish the well repair, which is more or less of the spigot before we continue forward with any more water samples at Viola. We had to order some new parts for that. They've been backward for a while, so parts have come in, but we are moving into a busy time with the fair coming up, so we're going to be a slight delay there before we get that wrapped up. At that point, that's what I have for report, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Elder. Question regarding Viola. I know that the issue with the well has really put a damper on people's wishes to act for, and the group's thoughts of possibly establishing legal camping at Viola Park. Is that still the committee's intent, I guess?
Madam Chair, I believe we should discuss that in the next agenda item.
Thank you. Let's go on to the next agenda, unless there are other people that have questions.
What was wrong with the well?
It was testing positive for bacteria that we traced back to the spigot head was actually developing bacteria on the inside of it and just basically had to be removed and replaced with a new unit.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you. On to item number 7 then, discussion and possible action, registration fees and use of parks.
Okay, Madam Chair, since last time, this committee made it to go forward about the continued use or continuing efforts of trying to make camping spots at Viola and Rockbridge, making those like a 24-hour park, people staying overnight at 10 o'clock PM for the people that want just the day use side of it. Unfortunately, less than several weeks after that last meeting, some of the documentation that I have in front of you, and Elaine, if you'd like a copy, it's right over there. I received a notification via email from the Wisconsin Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection. We received several violations and citations for the parks, mainly Rockbridge. The first violation, which we were aware of, was that the campsites weren't clearly marked with signage, which we had the signage sitting there ready to get established. So that's not even that big a deal. The second one is the violation of water. Water under pressure not supplied within 400 feet of campsites on either side of the tunnel. Corrective action, supply potable water under pressure within 400 feet walking distance from each campsite, which means at this point, we will not be able to allow camping on the backside of the wall because we have no means of running water or putting another well back there. Second of all, the well in the front, now we would have to almost cut down the number of campsites to be able to allow camping within 400 feet, 40 feet of that existing well spigot up front by Rockbridge. There's another couple things we talked about at Public Works is, okay, we're gonna allow camping and now we're looking to have to cut down the number of campsites that we can actually do at Rockbridge. The other side of that is, are we going to allow big RVs to come in there? So where are they gonna park? Because at this point, if we have to move that campsites up closer by the well, have all the ground there is a sloping ground, it would not allow campers to be put in off the boat. I think at this point, and with not having a full committee, I would make a recommendation that we really start to revisit the idea of maybe just doing a day use only park and avoid getting citations from the state of Wisconsin that we can't fix. The only other violation was a sign not posted in public view directing campers to the nearest available telephone. We did have some exchange with the administrator being CC'd on the emails of clarification of how close an emergency telephone has to be. Cell phone is not a good enough emergency cell phone, it has to be a landline. Per their words and email says it doesn't matter how close the telephone is, it just has to have a sign pointing in the direction of the nearest telephone. I do bring that into question a certain amount because, okay, we have a sign and technically the nearest telephone would be the city of Richland Center. If something was to happen, would they find a loophole to blame us for not having an emergency telephone on site in case anything was to happen? So one question, I'm telling you all this information not to direct you guys like, do this. I'm asking that you maybe take this information, think on it, and maybe come with the full committee that we can talk about a little bit more, but this is what I'm gonna report right now. So we got some citations, there's no fines or anything involved, but we're still on the books with the state of Wisconsin. And the water issue alone, we're really cutting back the number of campers that we can put in there. And to suffice, we could only look at really doing tent camping for a small piece of parts right at the mouth of Rockbridge Park, which would put all the campsites pretty much right around that little play area where people can spend time. So just asking to take that information, dwell on it, and maybe we'll talk about it again next meeting when we have a fuller committee and really think it through.
I do know, and I have noted that, maybe everywhere, but especially at Rockbridge, people tend to camp where they want. And most prefer to be underneath the ledge, right up against the rock, and there aren't any real campsites indicated for placement there. But that said, is it a possibility that we just, to avoid the RV camping and setup situation, can we, Is there a different license or a special licensing for tent camping only or primitive camping only, or?
It would just be a designated by the committee and accepted by the county board that it would just be tent camping only, and then we put up signs right at the 440 feet mark saying no camping beyond this point and actually properly identified.
Yes, Elaine.
Yes, so when I was questioned about this, I drove out there where people were tent camping, and I visited with them, and they were just lovely people. They happen to reside out here at Ridgeview Commons. They're living there, they have worked their whole lives, they're retired, some of these young, there's 2 women I had. And it's like, they purposely camp on the back side, so they're not bothering anyone. And they just tent camp, you know? So I hate to take it away from people like that because they live in these apartments and they just want to be out in nature.
But we almost have to take it away from them.
So that's
if
what
we
I'm
can't,
concerned about.
especially on the backside, if we can't provide potable water.
Yeah, see, and what they do is they bring in, if they had wagons and they brought in everything they needed. And they are planning on coming again so shortly here. And it's like, they just like to be outside in nature and it's kind of sad.
And
Yeah.
do they check in?
But they do pay, they pay. She told me, she's the one, I didn't know any of this. I went there and talked to them, they told me they knew they paid with you guys out there. They knew everything and they're very good people.
So when they go to pay, are they told that they, or did we
This-
know at that
This was
time?
all new to us.
Okay,
This,
okay.
before it was law, we didn't care where
Okay.
they camped. And again, if you're only gonna be able to do maybe like 4 to 6 campsites to be within that 440 feet, do you really wanna charge for it? Because the cost for running that is not, you're actually gonna lose money on deal with the amount of manpower, technology, so on and so forth to maintain that system. So I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not trying to
all
just-
things, but it's all things that we have to take into.
that's why I don't want any hasty action.
Yeah.
I'm really not asking for that. Let's just, I introduced this. I think we really need to revisit it and get more of the committee involved, and then we're gonna continue this. We know for a fact that we have to very much consolidate the number of campsites, and you're knowing that you're gonna be basically doing a tent only camp.
I wondered too, if it wouldn't be wise to, if we are going to be discussing this at the next meeting, if we don't include the tourism department or tourism group, Marty or whoever is working on that, and so that it's part of the discussion and knows the whys and wherefores without.
As I went online and checked that out, it is way outdated. And another thing, you are on.
Oh, but
You are, you're on the
I'm
committee.
sorry.
All your
I stand
minutes and
corrected.
votes
This
were
is
counted.
Parks Committee. Daniel McGuire,
There he is.
welcome.
I feel very important right at the moment.
You should, this is a good group.
So, my first thought is Rockbridge has been there how many years? We've gotten a camping permit from the state every year. And now we make contact with them and they come out. And now suddenly everything we've been doing for the last 50 years
I would,
gets changed, right? So
Right.
that's government, Josh, right? That's government 101.
could I respond to one piece of that? I did not reach out to Wisconsin Department of Agriculture. I just all of a sudden got this in the email one day, and I don't even know what changed that. We've been doing it this way for all these years, then all of a sudden now it's a citation and an issue. I don't know what came of them showing up out there to do an inspection, and I didn't reach out to anybody. It just literally showed up in my email, and it was like, we literally just talked about this.
Are there any other, I'm sorry, pardon me, John, are there any other inspection reports on file?
I went, reached back to Kathy Cooper, who ran before I did, and she said, no.
They never.
They've never
Oh, there
issued a
no-
citation, never had anything like this, so. I
Right.
don't know how this even came to be, but this.
So the last time, it was before you got on board with the parks and everything. And they came out and inspected and, yes, and the chains on the swings, the hooks weren't closed enough. So Gary Manning and I went out there with a tool and we closed them all up. And probably a month later, the person called and they're going somewhere else on 80, just pulled in there and said, thanks for taking care of that. So they were looking at it at different times. But this time, we had talked about an application for more when the transition was taking place when you came on board and were put under parks. And so the request had been called in to give us an idea of what we needed in order to expand on the backside of the rock. We didn't even talk about Viola. So, I mean, it took that long for them to respond to that.
Okay. Well, that would make.
That's COVID and all that. And so that's why you never heard anything from them. That's what I'm suspecting. But that was a formal request to get a aerial map with where we could put more campsites.
Yep. That makes sense then.
So back before came just this 3-person committee, and there was 8 of us that worked a few hours every month on the parks and trails. Something like this, we would present to, say, Ken Renish and say, hey, Ken, we need a water line. So we're at 435 feet. So we got 5 foot that we can say we have a water line. And could you work with us and we'll buy the material and show up and you could put a water line down in the spigot. And that's how we dealt with these things. And now you're gonna have to get bids and go out and all do that because now it's under government, not a community parks commission. And this has been my whole issue with this thing getting done this way because I knew this was gonna happen because lawyers and insurance companies, and because you're a government employee, you can't circumvent any of that or you lose your job. That's where we're at. So the other thing is we try to convince people that Josh is a really, really good parks oversight person, that we need to get money and Josh will take care of that water line with the money we supply him from the private sector. And so that's where tourism comes in and all that to say, hey, our county is poor. We got 18,000 people in it and about 10,000 of them pay taxes to cover all these issues. And so that's where it's going to have to go from here on out is we got to find private donors for the money to be able to do stuff like this in order to continue to move forward, because Josh has no way that he will argue and say, hey, I need $15,000 to put more water lines in. And we're going to maybe generate $10,000 in direct income. But we might get more people to move here and we might get another 10,000 in indirect income.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with what's happening, and that's just the reality of it.
I do know that, at least I've been approached, I don't know about John or Elaine or Eric, that part of the contingent that was here talking at the June meeting, I know that at least one of them has talked to me about, what would be the possibility or would it be acceptable if, say, they formed their own little Friends of Rockbridge Park. Specifically raise money for park improvements, etc. And the county would accept action like that?
My understanding is they would, it's no different than the Simons Foundation. And so county just accepted some money from the Simons Foundation
It would be
for
done in.
projects out at Simons.
If you do accept monies, which would be considered donation, it would just be put into a resolution form that the county accepts donations from whatever group wants to do that.
Yeah.
The only flip side to that is, okay, you do it on the front end, get it in place, but then it comes to the maintenance aspect.
Yes.
All the water testing and so on, stuff that needs to be
And there's
done. And
a
that
cost.
water testing, I'm sure it's, John, like you're probably familiar, when you do a water test, it has to be shipped down to Madison within 24 hours to be at a lab, which dedicates time, employee, vehicle, gas, so on and so forth. Again, I just want to make everybody aware, I'm not trying to
Yeah.
push.
Right. Again, Josh has to talk from a government standpoint of getting paid and asking for money from the taxpayers. And because our county is so poor in that area compared to other counties around us that have, nice parks and lakes, we got Lee Lake, but, that's why I knew once it got to this point, it was gonna be hard to be able to maintain these parks.
Supervisor Hendricks?
Yeah, and I would probably suggest communicating back to the state, because what's not making sense here is that we have to have water supply on the other side of the tunnel. But yet if you're down at Victoria Park, which I go there quite regularly, some of those tent sites, I mean, how close you gotta be? Because there's no way when you're at the end, at the one closest to the bridge, or where the new tent sites are, that they're closer to water than what they're saying these campsites have to be. So I'm questioning, every time somebody from the state goes out and does a report like this, I mean, should we argue it? I mean, should we explain that this is a beautiful area of the state and we don't want to put all this effort into it? We just want to make it available for people to enjoy. I mean, it's
I
just a
think-
thought.
They have to follow their own
Yeah.
Department of Health rules,
But-
et cetera.
This isn't correlating with what I see in Victoria.
Yeah, and I agree. I agree. And with this, we're just an advisory committee,
Yeah.
Right.
us three people.
We need to look
So
into it.
Josh is the one whose name's on the stuff. So this would be another, how many minutes of his time?
Like he's.
Does he have to spend-
That's what committees are for, to help.
Right, but I'm just saying that his time is valuable to do certain things and to ask him to spend, 45 minutes of phone calls and writing on this one little
That's a
issue.
lot.
And that's it. That's, we have no power. I can't call them and say, hey, who are you?
I would like to help remind some of this stuff because I do county and up here, so I mean, some of this stuff I kind of do enjoy and I like getting into the politics of it a little. It's my own personal. But I will say, when you see stuff like this happen, these citations that you never got before, we see it in the highway world, we see it in the recycling world. When people leave their office, they retire, they move on to a different job, and the next person comes in. A lot of the rules and regulations change upon the interpretation of that one individual. I've seen it many times in even whole chunk funding where, take for instance, they used to fund a whole string of roads for us. If we had a road project, we go to whole chunk. All of a sudden, a new person takes a chair and they're like, no, interpretation, I see it as this, and now our inventory is cut into half and we can actually get funding. This kind of stuff does happen. I mean, I'm happy to send an email to ask questions if so choose, but I thank you, John, a lot for pointing out that point that I am spread very thin, but I will do it as much as I possibly can because I do care about the county. So, thank you.
At this point, does the committees wish to wait until the next meeting to continue this discussion a little bit more after we all have time to do a little bit more research and thinking?
I'm thinking so. To look into more, plus the fact that I just know it's really enjoyed by some people that I've just talked to in the last
Yeah.
week that are really looking forward to the weekend. And they are respectable campers. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. We have very little to offer the outside world, very little. And so what we do have, it would be nice to capitalize on. But again, we don't have a lot of taxpayers in our county to cover bills like Sauk does, so you gotta be mindful that most of the money has to come from outside. So, like Josh says, every year he can come to WRCO and say, hey, I'm here to let those people out there know that, like our parks, that we don't have the money to maintain them like other counties. And so Elaine will be talking next about how you can come to this and raise $10,000 for Rockbridge so we can have water and amenities for 20 campsites. And that's what you do. And again, his time's valuable. And so you just got to pack it all into one little thing, and you got to ask the public for their funds, not out of their taxes anymore. But if they want to give and they can give to the city, you get a little certificate that says, you gave us this much, you can get that for deduction.
Or you search for grants that are available, but that takes time, the searching
Yeah.
for the grants takes time, and
Yep.
the writing of the grants, and then monitoring of the funds use, et cetera. And then again, you've got the same issue with.
Yep, you got in-kind
Grants don't-
funding and all
grants
that.
don't-
That's why Ken Rennie says, yeah, I can come out there next Saturday, get a crew and, you do something. And that's your hope, so that you don't have to wait 7 months to get a $10,000 grant that you gotta have $5,000 in spending. And so that would be my argument forever for our county if we're gonna do stuff with our parks.
Do I need a motion to put it on the agenda next time, or does it just?
Number 9.
That'll be after discussion of item number 8, discussion and possible action, tobacco use in parks. I was asked to include this on our agenda now that the city of Richland Center has adopted a no tobacco use in parks policy. In the last year, and wondering about the county following in that same thing. For the county properties. That would include the boat, it could include the boat landings and the parks, the recreation trail, all of the items, all of the locations that this group overseas. I'll throw it out there.
Yeah, so the process with the city took 2.5 years.
Longer than that, John, longer than.
No, that's when the first resolution
Oh, started.
started. Yeah, so I was part of that when I was on city council. So for me, the process is get it on the agenda under wherever it falls in the county, that there's a request for this. We get the group of kids and everything that came to the city council meetings, and they come and make a presentation at a county board meeting. They were limited to 5 minutes, and 3 of them spoke, and it's 5 minutes and 30 seconds that they presented everything. And it's very good. The kids loved it as they shook and spoke.
It was a good experience.
Oh. So that would be my recommendation. Presentation of this ask from the Partners for Prevention Coalition.
Anyone else wish to comment? Or,
Always the issue is enforcement.
And
Randy
you,
makes a very excellent point.
Yep.
You can post a sign, you can say
Yep.
it's a policy, but it comes down to an enforcement issue.
Yep.
Getting it passed, however, that shouldn't be really much of an issue, because if this all goes through with these rules for parks after we have the next discussion, all it would be is included in the resolution, like
right,
listing out the hours of operation, we have new to camp and then tobacco-free facility. It's a pretty in and out good deal, but if you have value for the kids to present in front of people, that's not a bad thing either. So,
yeah.
yep, there,
I compare it to no trespassing signs, and you still have people trespass. So Reedsburg's never issued a citation in the 7 years they've had theirs in their parks. Baraboo, same thing. And the chief says, I don't think we will probably ever write one. We will tell somebody, hey, you can't stand here. You got a group of kids here doing a watermelon toss, whatever, and you
Go
gotta,
away.
you gotta go away. And that's the way they said it, that nobody's gonna write a citation for somebody having a cigarette in a public park.
and no one is,
But the
no
idea
one is
is-
gonna walk around.
To show your kids, okay, it's just, we just don't want smoking in public areas. You wanna go smoke in your car, house, dad's place,
And I,
church, wherever you wanna smoke.
I recall that enforcement was the biggest topic of discussion.
Oh, it always is. But nobody writes a citation. Can't find a city that writes a citation. But they will all tell you, the smoking goes way down.
And they know that because there's, they don't.
Yeah.
On the ground. All in favor of, I guess, do we need a motion for that? And if so, will you make one? Have the kids-
Well, Yeah. But it has to
Oh,
get on the
that's right,
agenda.
it's gotta be on the Board of Supervisors agenda, probably.
Eventually, yeah, but I mean, at this point, you wouldn't have to make any action unless you're deciding here today, you're going to add it. Otherwise, you just, when you're ready to, you get your kids. Or you started this committee and then you put up the.
So the head of the coalition is Betsy Raisler.
Okay.
And so who should Betsy contact to be able to?
Well, I would start it here at this committee if we could get
Okay.
the full committee here a night, and then after that, if it gains traction, like, the next step would be Public Works, and therefore, and technically, the next presentation would be at County Board, the best place to voice that be, to show support from the county government's on this action, so.
Okay, so you're believing this committee, then Public Works, and so 3 meetings.
So
They would
something
just, they
to
would
do here.
say, you could start them here at this meeting, it would not be necessary at Public Works, but where you ultimately want to do it is at full county.
Right, I agree.
So with this group only meeting, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I do feel it's easier for the community. Whatever the city does, the county should do, and vice versa. Otherwise, you have people that, you don't know who you go to for government when it comes to city and county,
Right.
because
They think
people
it's all
don't
one.
know. So we should do whatever. Yeah.
With this group meeting only quarterly, though, our next meeting would be in like November or December, would it not? So it'll be a while.
Well,
but-
that would be fine.
Yeah.
The parks are basically
We'll
closed during
get
the
there.
winter. So
You
if
could start it.
it goes through, then you put the signs up in the spring and go. You want to contact Betsy when we
I can.
determine a date.
Yep, I'll take care of that notification. Still sort of a hanger on. Partners for Prevention.
Same
As are
here.
you.
Yes.
Future agenda items. I think we've reached that.
Yep, just, continue, bring back the discussion of possible action on the registration fees and use of parks.
That is the only other item, and is there anything else anyone would like to see at the next meeting? We would do the tobacco use as part of that.
Yeah, the rules and regulations, correct.
So for right now, like Viola, they're all good with their camping situation there.
Viola's still technically not open camping until we have the water issue resolved,
Thank you.
because I can't get the, DNR to sign off on it until I have the water.
Thank you. But until then, I mean, people have just been doing their thing.
Pretty much.
Right, that's,
I mean, if they're
same with
being-
Rockbridge.
So really, they've only been paying attention to the squatters,
Yes.
basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess. Have we discussed budget for the coming year at all for the
Parks.
parks or
No,
either
we have, well,
improvements or?
we submitted a budget for next year, but it's highly shaped around the, repair and maintenance of the grounds and his salary and equipment. That's really what it comes down to. Nothing for, like, big changes in the parks, just status quo.
Then if there is time either at the next meeting or the first meeting of 2026, to go through what the recommendations or plans were that were outlined in the long-term recreation plan, Richland County.
Okay,
That was
so
developed 2 years, 2 years ago. I think.
2 years ago, which I have a copy of that, so what we should do then, put that as a future agenda items, how do you want to state that, the review and discussion on,
Is a comprehensive plan
I think it's called the conference, there's a recreational plan.
Under-
Recreational plan,
Yeah, okay.
I think that's what it's called. We gotta review that.
Yeah, and just.
Yep,
see
and
what-
budget.
Yeah, and budget for, or decide, I guess, or prioritize.
Yeah, I'd like to-
Recommend prioritize the.
You can
improvements.
definitely see a copy of the parks budget, of course, by time, I mean, once it's submitted, it's done, and it basically just covers the bare bones
Right.
basics,
Yeah.
no,
The usual.
the usual, you know,
Right.
but I'll be glad to share that with you.
Awesome. Any other future agenda items?
Christmas party?
We'll
Okay.
hold it on the top of the rock, okay, at Rockbridge, okay?
Yeah, there's a few of them up there.
Item number 10, motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Head
Motion
over
by
there.
John, second by
Yeah,
now legal.
might as well take a turn to say something here. I second the motion.
Thank you, motion has been made and seconded to adjourn the meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
Did you pick a date for the next meeting?
Oh, no, we didn't. It would be if we stay on the,
Who's already adjourned?
okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead. That's fine.